What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the show. So are we seeing signs of another southern state potentially turning blue? We're going to talk a little bit about this in this video. I had someone in the comments ask me about Arkansas. And so we're going to take a look at the Arkansas Senate race because the latest poll is showing that the Democrat is ahead of Tom Cotton, the Republican. And so we'll take a look at the poll right now. Then I also have a clip, a local news outlet covered this, and then we'll take a look at the Senate map, and we'll plug in Arkansas, potentially being another state that Democrats could pick up. Now, I will say that we don't have a lot of polling out of Arkansas, so we don't really know where the race is going. And this poll here, this Hendrix poll, this could be just an outlier, okay? So let's take a look, because if we go down, let's look at JL Partners first. JL Partners, this was posted on 8/19/2026. You have 803 likely voters, margin of error plus or minus 3.5%. You have Shoffner at 35%. You have Cotton at 51%. You have other at 14%. So other, that's a large margin there. Now, when it comes to the margin of error, this is outside of the margin of error for Tom Cotton. Tom Cotton, remember, he is the incumbent, so he should have that advantage. But when we look at the next poll, this Hendrix College poll, this was posted on 8/20, so a day after. Sample size, 1,217 likely voters. So better sample size, likely voter, they're both likely voters. And then you have the margin of error here, plus or minus 4.7%. So the margin of error in the last poll, in the poll before that, was a little bit better, 4.7%. That's a large margin of error. Okay, so let's look at the numbers. So the numbers are showing Shoffner at 47%, showing Cotton at 44%, and then showing other at 9%. So what's interesting here is Shoffner has the lead in this poll. Within that margin of error, but she still has the lead. And so we need to keep an eye on these polls because right now there's a sign that we could be seeing the Democrat close the gap. Now, when we look at the prediction market is showing Tom Cotton 94%. It's showing Shoffner, and it's showing Shoffner at 5%. So it's showing a huge advantage for Cotton. Now, I want to go ahead and play a local news outlet in Arkansas so you guys can see what they're saying about this race. Here we go.
We are your local election headquarters, and earlier this month, Talk Business and Politics alongside Hendrix College polled more than 1,200 Arkansas voters about upcoming statewide elections and a congressional race, and those results being revealed this week.
Yesterday, we shared with you how voters are currently planning to cast their ballots for Arkansas governor. Today, we're taking a look at what they plan to do when it comes to the race for U.S. Senate.
Capitol View host Roby Brock joining us now in studio. Roby, the question posed was if the election for U.S. Senate was being held today, which candidate would the voters select? So, do we do a drum roll?
Do it.
We did yesterday.
The envelope, please.
So, and then we take a commercial break and we'll be right back. No, I'm kidding. No. So, look, first of all, I just want to say this is a big sample of a statewide survey. It's over 1,200 likely voters. So you had to participate that you are likely voting, and you have voted in 2 of the last 4 general elections. So this is a pretty good sample of people that will show up on election day. This is a really interesting race to watch, and we see here Hallie Shoffner, the Democrat, with a 47 to 44% lead over incumbent Senator Tom Cotton. Jeff Wadlin, the Libertarian, at 3%. The rest of that is an undecided at this point in time. And I think that it's all within the margin of error. Our margin of error is 4.7%. So you could go 4.7% either way with Tom Cotton's numbers or Hallie Shoffner's numbers. So it's pretty much, I don't want to say it's a dead heat, but it is a close, tight race. She's got a little bit of an edge when we do all of our factoring on that. So
these numbers, when you first saw them, surprise you at all at this particular point?
Yes, they did surprise Bob. This state's been heavily Republican since 2014.
Yeah.
So over
this close. An eye-opener for Cotton's campaign.
So look, when you look at the numbers from yesterday about Donald Trump's unpopularity in Arkansas, it's 53% disapprove of the job that he's doing, and 48% of that 53% strongly disapprove. So there are some very negative numbers for the president out there. He is the brand of the Republican Party nationally and in Arkansas. So these Republican elected officials have that weight with them, much like the Democrats did with Joe Biden in 2020 or Kamala Harris or Barack Obama back in the day. So he's not working in their favor right now. And that's something that they're going to have to overcome. They're going to have to separate themselves a little bit from him on that. So the numbers did surprise me. And then when you kind of drill down deeper into it as well, you see that what's really the swing in this, Republicans hardcore with Republican candidates, Democrats hardcore with Democratic candidates. There's more Republicans than Democrats, but independent voters, which have been voting 2-to-1, 3-to-1 for Republican candidates over the last decade, at least in this poll and today, by about a 70% margin not voting for Republicans. So
what about these undecided voters as campaigning gets underway? I mean, there's a small amount, about 5%. What do you see happening with them?
So obviously all the candidates are going to try to reach out to them. I think some of those independent voters as well are soft supporters. They've been voting Republican 2-to-1, 3-to-1 for the last decade. One election cycle is not going to switch them magically all to voting for Democrats or Libertarians now. But they're sending a signal. I'm not happy. I'm not satisfied with the direction of the country. And I'm mad at the leadership. And who's in charge right now? It's the Republicans are in charge right now. So I think that some of that support among independents that's not with Republicans is soft. I think you will see a lot of messaging to try to pull, try to pull some of those voters back over to the Republican side. The undecided voters will be another group that they'll work to.
A lot more money to be spent.
There's a lot more money to be spent. There's some big war chests out there.
What do voters have to pay attention to right now, especially undecided folks?
I think you've got to figure out, does this candidate working in my interest? Does this person represent what my concerns are right now? Does Tom Cotton hear what I am expressing my anger or my frustration about? Does Hallie Shoffner hear what I'm saying? I don't know how you determine that until election day. You know, we can read it in some polling, and we're going to poll this race again between now and election day. We're pretty close to the start of early voting. We'll do another poll, and we'll see a change because there will have been millions of dollars spent. There'll be this messaging that you're talking about, people talking, you know, trying to appeal to those voters, and it'll move those numbers for sure. So this race is very fluid.
All right.
Roby, thanks very much.
Be back here at 6.
Yes.
And so you see, this could be a very close race. Now, we don't know yet. We need to see some more polling coming out. But if we are looking at a situation, let me pull up. I didn't think I'd be doing this, but let me pull up Arkansas. Let's take a look at this. So if we're looking at our Senate map, and our current Senate breakdown right now, Democrats and Independents at 47, Republicans at 53. Arkansas is here. It's showing us solid. It's a solid Republican seat. But if we see more polling coming out showing, signaling something different, then we're going to have to really pay attention to Arkansas. Now, they talked a little bit about this in that interview that we just watched. When it comes to the president's job approval, inflation numbers, the economy, right now, the president is underwater in pretty much every category. Even when we're looking at crime, we're looking at immigration, the president is underwater. If you look at Real Clear Politics, you will see that. When it comes to the war in Iran, all of this. This is having a major impact on voters. Voters are looking at this and saying, we want change. And the only way that voters can get change is by voting out some of the incumbent Republicans mainly, because those incumbent Republicans, most of them support the current administration. And so Tom Cotton is in the hot seat now. And how does Tom Cotton defend some of these different things that we're seeing? We just heard Tom Cotton come out against this beef, importing beef from other countries. He had to. Why? Because you have ranchers in Arkansas, and this is going to impact ranchers as well as impact voters in Arkansas. And so you're seeing some of these senators try to pull away from some of the different policies that are out there when it comes to President Trump, but there's a lot of stuff out there that Tom Cotton is going to have to defend. Will he do a town hall? Will he answer some of these questions? Will they have a debate and have those questions posed to them? So I just want to show you here. Right now, Democrats' best chance, and remember, Democrats need at least 51 seats in order to take back control of the Senate. And so if we're looking at a scenario here, the most likely seats that Democrats would be able to flip, it's going to be North Carolina. That's going to be number one. Then we look at Maine, we look at Alaska, and potentially look at Ohio. So that would get Democrats to 51. Democrats and independents to 51. So you'd have Democrats and independents at 51, Republicans at 49. Democrats would take back control of the Senate. But if we start looking at some of these other southern states, or just other states in general, if Arkansas flipped, that really changes things. Because even, let's just show here. If we have Arkansas flipping, now you would have Democrats and independents at 52. You would have Republicans at 48. That's just based on the best case scenario for Democrats when it comes to picking up seats. But we still have other states that are out there that Democrats have a really good shot at winning. Texas, they have a good shot at winning at Texas. Texas right now is a toss-up. You look at most of the models are showing Texas as a toss-up. Iowa, a lot of the models are also showing Iowa as a toss-up. So Democrats have 2 more states that they could potentially pick up. And so if we saw a scenario where, let's say, Democrats win in Iowa and Democrats win in Texas, now you're looking at Democrats and independents at 54 and Republicans at 46. And Democrats, if they are able to win some of these states that they didn't anticipate winning, like Arkansas, if they win in Arkansas, then that opens up the opportunity, because right now there's a tough race in Michigan. Democrats have to defend Michigan. If they can't defend Michigan, it's going to be very hard for them to take back control of the Senate unless we start seeing a scenario like this where Democrats win in Texas, Democrats win in Iowa, Democrats win in Arkansas. Then they could potentially lose in Michigan and still have 53 seats. And so that's why it's really important when we start seeing movement here with some of these different races. We start seeing movement in Arkansas. We start seeing movement in some of these other states. That is, South Carolina is another state. We're going to have to wait to see what the polling's showing us in South Carolina, because now it's going to be Darlene Graham against Dr. Andrews. And so we could see a very close race there as well. We already know Darlene Graham, she doesn't really know too much about being a senator, even though was appointed to the position and she's now a senator. She doesn't know a lot about foreign policy and things like that. These are things that are very important, and voters might look at that and say, we need someone that at least knows what's going on in the world, because senators play a major role. Congress people as a whole play a major role when it comes to conflicts in other countries, wars in other countries. You need to know what's going on, because in some situations you might have to vote on funding a war. So you need to know about foreign policy. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about Arkansas. Yes, Arkansas is now on the radar. We've seen this before. Texas, just 8 months ago, Texas was a lean Republican. And even before that, it was a likely Republican. And so now we're looking at a toss-up. So we've seen that transition from being likely Republican seat to a lean Republican seat to now it's actually a toss-up. And realistically, if you're looking at the latest polling, it's showing that Tallarico is leading in more of the polls than Paxton. And so we could see some major shifts in the coming months. So make sure you stay tuned. But now I want to pass it off to you. Do you think Arkansas is a possibility here? Let me know in the comments below. If you like this video, please give me a thumbs up. Please subscribe for more. And remember, stay informed, stay engaged, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Bye. So that's all we have for this video. Make sure if you guys want to send me an email, you can do that, david@thetecshow.com. Like the video, subscribe for more, and check out these videos over here for some more great content. Talk to you later. Bye.